welcome to Limitless and Unfiltered. Welcome back to our podcast. Last week we had a banger of an episode with Elena. If you haven't checked it out, please go do so.
How great is she?
She's phenomenal. I don't
Yeah,
know what she was scared of.
poor thing. No, she's amazing.
So good.
Yeah, such a cool person, so knowledgeable. Everything
Yeah.
about her is just 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah. Her energy, her vibe, everything. And she was such a natural. I told her, I'm like, you did so
Very much.
well.
It's a Scorpio thing. It's a Scorpio
Oh
thing.
yeah, because you guys are both Scorpios.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, friends. So we are going to do a Q&A with each other. We haven't told each other the questions we're going to ask each other, but nothing is off the table. We thought we would bring some hot takes into the conversation. I know that a lot of people love when we bring hot takes because everybody's entitled to their opinion, and you may not like it, but it also gets you to think. So we're going to start with a couple of questions for each other. I'm excited. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm super curious to know when you first started, gearing up your social and, becoming more influential on Instagram and platforms.
Mhm.
Did you have a lot of people become like mean or rude? Did you encounter that real grossness? Because people are like, like how mean people can be, just talking to somebody through a screen rather than, they would never say something so hideous face to face. And if so, like, how did you overcome that? Because obviously, for me, like if I put myself in that position, I would feel very like insecure and super sad.
Okay, great question. So there's a lot to this because at first, when you first start getting into the social media world, and let's say you want to grow a following, and your goal is to increase your followers, but also increase engagement and have people come to your page and engage with you, essentially, right? For whatever reason that may be, it may be for wanting to become an influencer, which an opinion on influencing in the influencing world because I actually think everybody is an influencer. We all have the power of influence. We just don't dive into that. So anyways, but if you want to go into the traditional influencing world, working with brands, all that stuff, there's that aspect. But then there's some people who want to grow on social media to grow their like brick and mortar businesses or their online businesses, which don't necessarily have anything to do with brand partnerships. Yeah, there comes a time where through that growing process, you have to grow yourself first. And I don't say like you have to do that work first, like personal development, like really figure out like why is it that you really want to do this, hold the vision to yourself. It's no different, I would say, than becoming an entrepreneur. And you know this very well, right? Like when you are on a business venture and you're like, this is the goal that I have in mind, you don't have the goal of just opening a storefront. You have a goal and a vision of like 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. And even if that business doesn't get to 10, 15 years down the road and the trajectory of that business is only 5 or 4, there's still a vision of a future for that. And I think with social media, it's no different. People who do take social media seriously or want to grow, you have to have a vision for what you want your page to do. What is the outcome that you want to achieve? And holding true to that no matter what comes your way, because yes, hate does come your way. And it's something that a lot of people are not prepared for. It's very hard mentally to read some comments. And if you're not in a space to be able to withstand that internally and mentally, then social media is not the place. Maybe now, right? Maybe that I'm gonna get woo woo. Social media can really open up the door to the shadow work that you have to do internally. And shadow work, what I mean by that is, why is that a trigger for you? Why is someone commenting something negative about your body, your family, your goals, your ambition, whatever it is that you're posting? Why is that a trigger for you? Because the likelihood of it actually being that the person pisses you off is slim to none. When you
Right.
really start to like do the inner work, you're like, okay, well, that's a trigger because maybe, I have a fear of being seen, right? Maybe I'm very good at being an entrepreneur and I'm very good at like in person, but being seen online by hundreds, thousands of people that I don't know, that is a fear for me. And you have to kind of uncover why that's a fear for you. And it can get really deep and rooted as to like, some past childhood trauma or, things like that. But yeah, I would say personal development is huge when it comes to growing an online space because there will be hate. So for example, for me, and sometimes that hate comes quietly, but later on it all explodes at the same time. So for me, when I started growing, the comments that I would get from like random people that I've like never interacted with in my life and that judged me by a 5-7 second video that they're watching of me was wild, specifically on things for like my kids. And it gets
Oh.
really dark, like really, really dark. My page started growing when I would do like a lot of motherhood humor. And
Mm,
but I would bring Jenny, like I would bring in normal motherhood stuff that we all deal with and just give it a spin where it could be funny for moms and they could relate that way.
yeah.
So it did. It related to so many moms, and hence why the majority of my social media following are moms, either, new moms or in the thick of toddler, like all at all stages. But it's relatable. It's a relatable stuff, and that's how we were connecting. And then you would get the odd, like, I don't know, you would look at their social media profile and it was like a 75-year-old man, just like you could
Oh
tell
God.
that living in their mom's basement. Like these are keyboard warriors. And at first, like the first couple of like hate messages that I got, which are really aggressive, it can get to like, wishing ill upon your kids and like wishing ill upon you. And
Actually?
oh yeah, I've been told like, go, I hope you get hit by a bus. Like, and I won't get into like other really horrendous comments, but like, horrible comments about my kids, like horrible. I wish your kids were orphans, or like you should die, or like your kids
How
just
do you
awful things
say
like
that
that.
about a child? Any child?
Right? First of all, and secondly, like again, I'm a stranger on the internet. If I don't like something on the internet that I see on someone's social media profile, I'm scrolling with my finger. Like I have no time and energy to sit there and pour into somebody that I don't know, and the only thing I'm going to pour into that person is hate. You don't know what's on behind that screen. Like someone
Yeah.
could be presenting themselves all happy and dandy on social media, and little do you know they're suffering with mental health issues and like suffering with postpartum depression when speaking about a
Yeah.
mom, right? So I don't get that energy because I'm just like, I would never do that. I've never done that. I don't think I've ever left a hate comment, to be honest with you. Like
Never. I
I'm
would
like,
never.
right? Like why?
And
So
I
yeah, it's total ick to me. You're right. It is grossness. There is a lot of hate that comes from that, but I would say that it's the least amount that comes from social media. Growing, like the majority of it is positive and uplifting. And I mean, at the same time, you also have the opportunity to like, if you don't want to deal with those comments and like what at all, then you just block this
yeah.
person, right? Unfortunately for haters that leave comments, they have no idea how the social media algorithm works. And a comment is still an interaction and engagement, which boosts your content anyways.
Oh,
What's up, haters? Like, thanks.
yeah,
But
it's just
again,
I just find it so hard to like see comments
hmm
that people leave and how mean they are. Like there's
hmm
this one girl that I follow and she has like maybe 2 million followers.
woo, it's a lot of hate.
Yeah, she's really well known and she's a mom of two and
hmm
her body has changed a lot, and like you can see that in clothes, out of clothes, and people are just so mean. And I'm thinking to
Yeah,
myself, like, I was taught if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all.
correct. That's
But it's
common
like,
sense.
why call it out? So yeah, that put like a lot of thought for me in the sense of
hmm
like what you potentially go through. And I was very curious to hear your reflection of that.
Yeah, that's one aspect of hate that I get, like the motherhood and like telling me that I'm a horrible mom and that I shouldn't have had kids, all that stuff. But then there's the
How?
other aspects, I don't know. So again, from like a 5 second video that maybe they didn't like, and for me, that's like if it triggered you, you got to figure out why it triggered you, right?
Yeah.
It's a you problem, not a me problem. But what you said is so true because to this day, I still get comments about my body. Like I still get comments about. I've had people send me my own reel, and I think that they meant to send it to someone else, and with a really nasty like I won't even repeat. Yeah, and then I respond back to those people because it's in the direct message. I respond back and I'm like, oh hey, how's it going? I think you meant to send this to somebody else. And then they leave my page or they block me or they're like, oh, I don't know how that someone hacked me, and I'm like, I highly doubt that. So, anyways, there's that. But then there's also the fear, like when you're first growing your social media page, Jenny, of like the people that are close to you and what are they
Mm,
thinking about you. And for the most part, some people will just stay silent, which is funny because the majority of support when you do something on social media, you're growing on social media, will come from strangers. It will come from strangers on the internet that have never met you, but they relate to what you're posting. And then they just start like following what you're doing and They end up being friends, they end up becoming friends, but they're strangers. Your
Yeah.
real life friends, for the most part, will probably stay silent. They don't understand what you're doing. And I come at this from a place of trying to put myself in the other person's shoes. It's like they don't understand what you're doing. They don't understand the objective. They don't understand the potential social media has to really help with like brick and mortar businesses, online businesses, all the things. And even for your own self confidence, because I feel like social media has changed me in the most positive ways, but it's because I've chosen to see that when someone projects, it's just that it's a projection. It
Yeah.
is them speaking about themselves but spewing hate to you. So when I get some of these comments and I'm just like, okay, like, Maria, remember that like hurt people, and that's it. And like it's hard for that, but the hardest is when like a family member says something. And I had that happen to me with an aunt, and she didn't say it specifically to me because she has never said it to me to my face. It's very kind. She's very like, she's not blood related, but I call her aunt. And but she did approach my mom, and she told my mom a bunch of really mean things about her daughter, aka me. And it made my mom really sad, and it made my mom cry, and it hurt my mom. And she didn't tell me until months later. She's like, I got to tell you what she's saying, and this is. And I'm like, Mom, I am so unbothered by people's comments on social media, or even people that we know and what they have to say, because they don't live my life. And truthfully, if I wouldn't change 100% of my life for theirs, I don't care. Like, that's the attitude you have to have when growing a social media
Right.
page, is looking at someone's life, and you can see it through their profile picture. If you don't know them, like, would you change your life for theirs? And if the answer is a resounding no, like, let
That's
them
a good
be.
way. I like that. I
Yeah,
really like that.
yeah. Because like, would you really change your life for somebody who's
Never.
who's spewing hate? Like, no.
No, the people in my life right now, like if there's anybody out there that, well, I know there's people out there that don't like me or are not
We're not diamonds, Jenny.
caring of me or my family and my husband and my child, whatever it may be, I would never ever change my life to be anything like them.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, Jenny, for you, what is one time in business? What's one time you have faked confidence in your business, but were actually terrified?
Oh my God, opening up my first dental office.
Walk me through that, Jenny. Why? What was going on?
I was like 28, 29, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? Like, all I knew was to be a dental hygienist. I didn't know how to be a business owner, entrepreneur, to run an office. Yeah, and just basically starting that process and like going to the banks with a business plan and, just assuming that I'd be able to do it. You just kind of put on your big girl pants and you walk in there with confidence. And I feel like I've just always been like that in new situations. Like, even when I started hygiene in a practice, I would walk up to the front and, like, we were so young. You were younger than me,
Oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I was like, you were 21? What year are you born?
90. 90.
Oh,
I went into dental hygiene school with being 19 years old.
19. So I guess 19. I was 23. 23? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
So I would walk up to the front and people would be like, "Oh, you're gonna clean my teeth?" Oh yeah. And I would just, keep my head up high and just be like, "I'm gonna prove you wrong." Right? So
And
like,
then they love you.
and then they love you. So for me, it was just always mentally like coaching myself, cheering myself on internally, saying like, prove these people wrong, be the best that you can be and fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you fake it till you make it. And I tell ya, people would never know at any time when I'm nervous. There's like maybe times a couple years ago, I don't get nervous at all anymore. I don't care who they are. They could be the most famous person sitting in my chair because let me tell you, I've had quite a few people. It can be quite nerve wracking because, you just think about who they are and what they do and, you're kind of envious of them and
You put them on a pedestal.
yeah, and you treat them like a guest in your house and you're trying to provide them like the most optimal experience possible where they're just like whoa, like it's the whoa experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like always during that venture, it was like I had no idea what the construction was going to be like and negotiating with the landlord and working with a contractor and buying, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment, right? Like, you walk with it and you just keep your head up high. And like I said, fake it till you make it.
And I love that you said that because I feel like a lot of people now hate that term of fake it till you make it.
Oh,
And I think it's so necessary when you want to pursue any type of business venture, any type of goal, really, is you have to show up with, I don't want to call it faked confidence, but it is kind of like a faked confidence because you gain confidence along the way. And I feel like a lot of people hold themselves back because they feel like, well, if I'm not confident, I can't do that.
right.
Whereas in reality, when you talk to people like yourself, successful in all the things that you touch, and same with me, it's like, no, we didn't necessarily have the confidence, but we had a vision. Going back to the vision, you had a
Yeah.
vision of what you wanted. And so that is what you hold on to, and you build the skill sets to achieve that confidence along the way. Like you said, now you have no problem walking into a bank and be like, hey, this is my business proposition. Read it. I know what I'm worth, and it's going to be a yes. Whereas
100%.
obviously at the beginning, we don't know that. You don't know
Yeah.
that. I love that. I love that because I totally agree with you. Like you have to fake it till you make it. And eventually that doesn't even become fake anymore. It's just a part of your personality.
It's just as real as it comes.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so Maria, what's one thing that you will never ever do again in your lifetime?
Whoa. Okay. One thing I will never ever do again in my lifetime. Okay. I hope I don't knock on wood. Okay. No shade to anybody who does this on a regular because I know lots of people do this on the regular, but I will never smoke marijuana again. Mom, okay. I know you listen to this. Chill. It was one time. Okay. I tried marijuana one time and I tried it partially. I think it was my experience was so negative with it because I think I tried it when I was already tipsy. I've never, I'll be honest with you, in my entire life, I can count on one hand the times I've been drunk, and it's two. Two,
Oh,
like
wow.
bad drunk, like I barely functioning. Two, okay. Tipsy many times in my like teens and early 20s, But smoking marijuana happened only once. I was camping with a friend, and we had gone around different campsites and drank with a bunch of people we didn't know, which like for kids nowadays, like there was not really social media back then, so
There was
we
nothing.
we weren't posting that. There was no evidence of it. Like we were pretty lucky in that aspect, but that's what we did. We walked around the campsite, got to know, other people, and like it's funny now a lot of them are friends of mine in the real world. But we kind of drank at every campsite, and then I was really tipsy, and I was like, I can't, because if there was one thing about me when I was younger, it's I never wanted to cross that line of like I'm blackout or I'm non-functioning. So when I would feel that my body was like, all right, Maria, you're getting really tipsy, I would cut myself off. In that state, I'd be like, nah, I'm done. Like I want nothing else because I didn't want to feel like shit. And so
Yeah.
we were tipsy and there was like thunder. We were like, okay, let's get into the tent because I don't want to be out here during thunder and like a lightning storm. Let's just get into the tent. If anything, we'll go into the car. But we get in the tent and she had brought a joint and she was like, do you want to try? I'm like, I've never tried that. She was like, I know. Do you want to try? And she was avid. She was an avid marijuana smoker. And I did. And I think I took like 3 puffs and I thought I was dying because
Did you
obviously
get,
I inhaled.
did you get violently ill?
No, I just felt like the world was slowly melting underneath me. And for some
Oh,
people, they chase that. They're like, oh, yeah, it's the calmness. But for me, it actually gave me anxiety. It gave me like heart palpitations. I felt like I was so out of control that I was like, I remember sitting there crying. I laid there crying. I was like, this is my last day. Like, my mom's going to have to like find my body. Like, super
oh
dramatic.
my
Like, that's the
gosh.
shit. I know. And I was like, if I wake up from this, Lord Jesus Christ, I never want to do this again. And I haven't ever done it again. I'm not interested whatsoever. Not in gummies, not in drinks. Like I'm just not interested. I would never do it again because I very much dislike the feeling of
Right.
what I had. So I vowed to myself never to do it again. I don't care. I have friends that do it on the regular basis. I really don't care. To each your own. But to me, yeah, just I'm not willing to dive into any of that. And I've never done any drugs other than that. And I definitely have zero negative 10 interest, negative 10 interest in that. So no, I would never ever do that again. How
Yeah.
about you, actually?
For me, I've maybe smoked marijuana maybe, God, twice, 3 times in my life. It's not for me either. I never was like, I never enjoyed it. I didn't like the sensation either. And I don't like to feel tired. I don't like to feel like that, like overwhelmingness of relaxation. You know what I mean? Like I like to be in a state of my own relaxation. Um,
Same.
and just like you, like I've probably had like a handful of really bad hangovers in my lifetime. I probably partied a little bit more than you did in like my teens and like my early 20s. But as an adult now, I just don't like waking up feeling hungover.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to feel the sense of not being productive on a day off.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like it. Um, have I done anything harder than marijuana? I definitely did. I did some.
Just
I
call
like
it
to,
hard drugs, Jen.
yeah. I've done it. I've done it once. It was in Ibiza.
Of course, of course.
It was 2014. I went to Ibiza. I met a friend there who was living there for the summer. I did, I guess you could call it like ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one night we went to see DJ Solomon, and it was the best fucking night of my life.
I thought you were going to say something else.
No, I remember telling my mom too, because I think at the time I was probably 20, I was in my mid to late 20s then. So even still, but like the best night of my life. I don't recommend it for people. It was just like something I was there. I'm like, I'm never going to be at Ibiza again. I'm never going to be at like, a concert with a DJ like this again. Like I was just like once in a lifetime, and I did it, and it was the best night ever.
Jen's like, I'm going all in.
Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
it was amazing. And I just remember walking out of that club at like fucking 8:30 in the morning. Like you walk out and it was like light out and you're like, oh my God, when I came here, it was like pitch black. And like when in the moment, you're like, you don't want the night to end.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a wild feeling. Anyways, don't care to ever do it again, but at least I can like say I experienced the high, and yeah, it was once in a lifetime, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I've had this conversation with, not this conversation, my mom will probably have another conversation with me for posting this. But I've had conversations of like that with my mom of like, okay, well, like how would you tell your kids like if they came to you and they were like, Mom, like I did this, right? I think for me and the way that I've decided to parent my children, it's not to hide things and not to pretend that like, they're going to be horrible humans if they do something, because I want them to always come to me in an emergency or in a case of doubt, or just come to me as their friend. And so if my kids were to ever, and I hope they don't, but if my kids were to ever come to me and tell me like, hey Mom, like I tried marijuana and I'm doing like I would have a serious conversation with them, because at the time that I did it, right, and at the one time that I did it, I wasn't well versed in like any of the effects or any of the things that could happen and how that could lead to other negative things in your life. And it's just like, it's not worth it. And I think that that's the approach that I would take with my children, is no shame or anything. And I would say, okay, like, if you've already tried it, you already tried it. What are we going to do from that moving forward? But hey, let's have a conversation of like the implications of this long term, because you don't see it when you're young, right? If you hide it or taboo it, then they're afraid of speaking to you, and they're afraid to come to you with that. And I just don't want that for my kids. So it's different now that I'm a parent, obviously, and navigating these things later on in life. If we get to that, like, it's going to be there. I'm pretty sure one of my brothers has never touched that shit, right? And I'm just like, I think it was because we were very open about all of it and like the repercussions that it could have. So I had a friend, actually the same friend that offered that to me, not get accepted into the career of her dreams because they found it in her system when they did a random blood check. And that was a huge, not eye opener, because again, I only did it once, but that was a huge like confirmation of like, yeah, you don't need to do this. It's not necessary. It could look what it did to her. Like never again. She can never apply again for this career.
That's
So
unfortunate.
it's just like, yeah, it is unfortunate. So I'm just like, okay, well, it's you got to take the things that come with you or come to you and show your kids all of the faces of what their decisions
Yeah.
can have,
And
right?
I think like in this day and age too, like what it was 20 years ago is so much different to what it is now. Like people are just like ruthless and gross, and they lace these drugs with other
Yes.
like detrimental drugs that like kill people instantly. So it's like educating them on all of that is super super important, because
Yeah,
you're trying it one time and you have no idea where the source is actually from.
Yeah. And I think we're in a country where, they've glamorized a lot of these things, and they've made it socially acceptable and socially normalized. like I personally, this is my hot take on, wow, this wasn't even a question, but we'll get right into it. Personally, my hot take on this is that like, I understand trying to normalize it for educational purposes. What I will never understand and I'm not okay with is normalizing it for, oh, you're having a tough day, this is what you do. Like, and just getting it everywhere. You know, like we're in a country where you can just get this everywhere. At every corner. There's like 2 or 3 shops of the same thing and I'm like, this could not be socially constructive
Right.
in the long term. It really can't. You're enabling people's addictions and you're enabling people's ability to just not pursue things in life, because if you're constantly in a state of being high all the time, I highly doubt that you are going to pursue big goals and dreams. Like I highly doubt that. So,
Right.
you know, like, and I'm not saying that, you know, famous people or people that are successful don't do this, because they very much, there's a lot of them that very much do. But what I'm saying is, I think that in a collective, like social collective, not everybody has the mentality of being able to control that and use it. I don't want to call it productively because I don't think it's productive, but in a more constructive way versus just using it to numb yourself from your life.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough. Okay, question for you. Let's
Yes.
talk insecurities, okay? So, what is a part of your body? And this is tough because you're in it and I'm in it. So, I want to bring it to light so that people can relate. What's a part of your body you've struggled to love and how do you see it now?
I've always had insecurities with my midsection. Um and also my breasts. Gosh, it definitely got pretty bad after I had my little guy, just because, the stretched skin and the displacement of my muscles and whatnot. It's been pretty hard on me. I'm working on it. I could be working on it a little bit harder. Waking up at 5 o'clock like you, Maria. Oh my God. Good for you, girl. Like, really kudos to you. But I've definitely in the last few weeks have been trying a little bit harder to work with it. It is extremely hard for me to accept it because I know that it's an area that like working out and eating well isn't going to fix it. This is, it's an area, and what's happened is something that's not fixed by diet and working out. So I actually am contemplating a tummy tuck.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Yeah, so it is something on my mind. Have I decided to 100% do it? No. Is it a thought that I think about very often? Absolutely. Like I mentioned last week, I am getting my implants taken out October 2nd. Very excited for that and to just feel like a sense of relief with that. But I may end up doing that tummy tuck just because I feel like my husband and I were done having kids. We've just decided that one is great for us and we're grateful for him and whatnot. But I feel like I just, for the rest of the time being a mom, I don't know. I want to feel good about myself. And I feel like if this is going to allow me to have some type of head start and remove, that excess skin that's been bothering me, then yeah, it's something I want to do.
I love that. And I think that your example is great because I know that, I don't know if you've heard this or if someone's told you this, but I remember when after I had my first baby, and my first baby actually didn't stretch me as much as my second, which was a double whammy. I also didn't give my time. I also didn't give my body the time to heal from one to the other. Mind you, our second was a little bit of a surprise, but I remember like seeing the stretch marks and seeing the loose skin. And with Veronica, I actually lost the baby weight, which I didn't really gain much with her. I think in total in my entire pregnancy with her, I think I gained like 9 pounds. It was wild. Like the doctors were like, "You're so healthy, but you didn't gain a single thing." I had the cutest little tiny belly, but I still stretched with her, obviously. And I would hear people say, when I would say, like, I'm not really happy with that. Midsection has always been my struggle, even prior to kids. Yeah. And I remember hearing, like, what you got to understand is that you grew life in your body. And it's like, listen, I get that. I am very grateful for the life that I have created. And I know that that was in my body. And obviously my body had to change. But telling a woman that's expressing like I'm uncomfortable with how that looks or how I feel, to just like be grateful for the fact that she created a human in her body and that's why it's stretched, that doesn't help. That doesn't help because it's not, we know that. We pushed this child out. We know what came out of our body. We saw it grow. So, I think instead of telling women like just be grateful because remind yourself that you grew a human, like no, support her in feeling that way. Okay,
Right.
yeah. Like if you had told me that, newly postpartum Jenny, I would be like, all right, Jenny, I get that. Let's like, okay, what can you do right now to start to make yourself feel better from that? And like
Yeah.
help and support a mom going through it that way instead of just being like, well, you grew a human there. Like, yeah, thanks, Sherlock Holmes. We know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to look at yourself in the mirror. And then also, I feel like when you're not feeling confident with yourself, like, you don't feel confident, like, you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. And then, like, your intimacy with your husband is, like, different in the sense of, like,
It's here.
not because he's not into you, because, like,
Oh yeah, they're into you.
there's nothing wrong with my husband. And I'm the one who's like, I just feel so, like, insecure. And he's like, I love you the way you are. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Like that's important. Like that's important, but I'm like, I also need to feel good about myself too.
Yes, because we're constantly in our head about what we're seeing,
Yes.
right? And yeah,
And he's like, I don't see what you see. And I'm like, okay, that's great.
but
But
I
like,
do.
yeah, exactly. Like they love you, you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah, oh, that's amazing.
so that being said, Maria, what's like one of your insecurities? Just in general, doesn't need to be like body image or, but if there's like one security, because
Yeah.
you come off like a very confident
hmm
individual,
hmm
well spoken. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious to know.
Yeah. I think body image would be the same as you. I think maybe because we're both, almost 5 foot nothing. I mean, I don't think I'll go into the body image because it's very similar to yours. Like I've always struggled with my midsection, maybe being, the short girls that we are.
Yes.
Maybe, right? Maybe
Big
that's where
boobs.
big boobs, short girls, like it's definitely a place where I think our fat accumulation stores is in our midsection. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've never really been in love with that. It's something I'm still struggling with right now, obviously.
Yeah.
But I work on it every day. And I work on it, I mean, most of what I'm talking about working on it is like mentally, truthfully, because I'm not hardcore, like trying to work on it physically. Although I love working out, I feel like working out it has to be your whole body, right? Like your whole body
Yeah.
has to change. People who sell you like, oh, do these exercises to get rid of belly fat. Like that's a lie. Like belly fat is stored fat. Fat is fat in your body. You just have to get working on all of it, right? So yeah, mentally, I think we're still working on a lot of like that and acceptance and knowing like, okay, what can I control? What can I not control? So body image is very similar as yours. I would say one of my biggest insecurities outside of body image, which is funny that you said that I come off as a very confident person because I always feel like I can be more confident in things. There are certain scenarios, which is funny. There are certain scenarios where I can dominate a room. Dominate. For the most part, I can. I walk into a room and I can dominate that no problem. And by dominate, I mean like I can talk to whoever. I have good relationships, skills, and so that comes very easily to me. Again, a skill that has been cultivated through time, right? And worked on. But sometimes, and I don't know if it's through my like hormonal cycle, through my period cycle, I don't know what it is, but sometimes being in a room I just don't want to be there. And sometimes it's like a time where I need to be interacting with people and I just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to. And I think that is part of my human design as a generator. We'll get into that in a different episode. But I think that's part of my human design as a generator is like most of my interactions have to come from response. So the way that I very much succeed is through response instead of me searching for conversation. So I think that's where I've seen like my biggest insecurity is that when I have to initiate a conversation about business, about, the things that I do, really anything, sometimes it's really, really difficult for me because I don't want to talk to the person. And it has nothing to do with the person. It has everything to do with like my inner dialogue of like, what am I going to say? Am I going to say the things correctly? Is this person going to be turned off about what I say? And again, this is all fear or judgment of what people are going to think of you when you open your mouth.
Yeah.
But it's also I've really realized it's part of essentially that the human design of like, I'm supposed to be responding to scenarios in my life, which is why when I dominate a room, when I go in, it's a response to the energy inside the room. It's a response to the people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it's something I'm definitely working on of like being an initiative type of person when it comes to certain scenarios. But I do feel like it has a lot to do with my mood, which is crazy because I'm a firm believer that we shouldn't be allowing our moods to dictate how we live our life because we should be living our life through taking action instead of allowing a mood to say yes or no to what you do. But I am definitely struggling in that aspect, which is funny because, yeah, I do come across confident and I do consider myself a very confident person. There's just the odd time where I'm like, what is going on? And then I reflect on it later and I'm like, why did I act like that way? You know, why?
I
Like,
think
why
I
did
know
I,
why.
why?
I sometimes feel like it all depends on the environment that you're situated in. Other people's energies start to basically encroach on yours, right? I true like because we're energy. I'm not a
Yeah.
woo woo like you. Like I believe in it, but I'm like not as well versed as you are. But I strongly believe that it depends on like the environment that you're in. Like, is it an environment that you thrive in, or is it an environment where there's kind of like some negative energy being pushed upon you to basically interfere with your good energy.
That's a great way to put it because I had
Yeah,
never really thought of that. Because I'm telling you, it's not a lot that happens, but it takes me out at the knees. And
yeah.
later when I'm reflecting, I'm like, that's not me. Like that's not me at all.
It's the people
Like
that you were
why?
surrounded by in that moment. And like maybe like mentally you're like, "Oh, but they're good people and they look out for me and they love me." And then yeah, that's a great yeah, they
Yeah.
probably do, but internally sometimes people put out the evil eye without them even knowing that. And it's not because they don't like you or they're not looking out for you. It's just something that they don't even know they're doing. And maybe it's more of like an envious thing. And it's like, oh, look at how great she is. Why can't I be like that?
Yeah, that's a great perspective, Jenny. Because, like, for example, even like today, like I have this Pilates in the park that I organized, and there's 20 people coming to this, and I don't know some of them, and I know some of them, but I only know some of them through social media. So it's the first time that we'll meet in person, and I am so excited to go to this. Like, there's something in me that's like, yeah, we're gonna have a
Good
great
vibes.
time. Yeah, good
Yeah.
vibes, right? And then, yeah, there are very few, but scenarios where I have just been like, and I won't. And this is the part where I'm struggling is that like I know how confident I am and how I can, be the light in a room for people. I know that that's not. It's going to sound cocky to the people that don't understand light work, but I know that I can be a light to people when I go into certain areas and spaces. But there have been the very few times where it's just I will shut the down. Like I'll shut down. Okay, ready? All right, Jenny, one of our last questions here. If you could live one day without any consequences whatsoever, what's the first thing that you'd do? Or walk me through, instead of what's the first thing you do, walk me through a day where there's no consequences to your actions.
You know what? If you had asked me this a couple months ago, I probably would have nailed out all of the people that are just not very good people that I have encountered in my lifetime. But I've recently come to a realization that these are energy suckers. People like that are energy suckers. And they want you to react. And they want you to react mean and disgracefully. Like they want that. They thrive off of that. And I've just decided that yes, for the longest time all my life I've been a reactor because I'm a passionate person. I feel deeply, especially when it has to do with like people I care about, family, friends, colleagues, all of that. And I've just come to the realization that it's not worth the energy, and it's not, yeah, it's not worth it. And it's okay. It's totally okay to cleanse your life of these people, no matter like where they are in your life. And it's not worth it. For me, it would never ever ever be worth it now. It's easier to walk away and just be joyful and grateful of the life that you have and the people that love you and make the time for you. And yeah, I'm satisfied, very much satisfied with just leaving it.
So you're saying that like if like months ago that would have been like this question, you would have just been like, yeah, I would go at them.
Oh
And
yeah, like I would love, I'm the type of person I've always been like, I want to stick up for myself. I want to say how it is. I want to say my point of view. Like I'm very much like I am that internally, deeply. Yes, I am that person, but I've just learned that now it's not worth it because
yeah.
it exerts so much more energy and internal anger to do that, where it's like, I'm not going to waste my time with you. It's not worth it.
No, it isn't. So that aside, let's put the negative people aside. What would be something that like if there was no consequences, you could just do now?
No consequences. I don't know.
I know it's a tough question. When I read that, I was like, well, I don't really know either. Like, what do you mean live a life with no
Yeah.
consequences, right?
I don't know. Like if I had like flow of money that like just never dissipated, then yeah, if I had that, then I would do every business idea that came to my head.
You kill me. I thought you were gonna be like, if I had all the flowing money in the world, I would take the trip around the. Are you?
Yeah, well, for me, I'm the type of person to be like, okay, I have money, so how can I make more money?
You fucking kill me, bro.
And like I know it's a little crazy. That's just how my mind thinks and it's like I don't know if I've said this to you before, but it's like I had somebody like a patient ask me the other day. They're like, "Oh, what's your hobbies?" And I'm like, "I don't have any hobbies." Like
Creating businesses.
I'm like, "Yeah, what are my hobbies?" I'm like, "I have no hobbies. Like I work and I like to think about business plans and how I can be more successful and do more for my family and like that's where my mind goes into. My hobby is like being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah, and okay, I'm gonna feed off of that what you just
Yeah.
said. Do you feel like after becoming a mom, that like your why for that has shifted your why for wanting to create more businesses and that, or is it still solely like I want to be an entrepreneur?
I think that it's like a 50-50. Like I'm still like very motivated. I love being an entrepreneur. I would consider myself a serial entrepreneur because I'm
Yeah,
constantly like I don't stick to one industry. Like I try to excel in like all types of different industries. Like I'm working on
you're
something new.
limitless.
Well,
You're limitless.
yes, constantly like looking at other ventures because different streams of income is so important to me. But yeah, I think it's 50% just being that's who I am. And then the other
Mhm.
50% is like I'm building a legacy for my family. I'm building a legacy for
Love
my
that.
son. You know, growing up, like being an only child from a single mom, you know, my mom, like I said before, like my mom had to work. My mom wasn't able to be there for me all the time. She missed so many things of, you know, important aspects of my life, not because she wanted to, but because she had to, because she had to work to put food on the table. But yeah, for me, it's like I want to try and continue to give my child a legacy to thrive off of.
Yeah, 100%. I think people that have this mindset of like being goal getters, when you become a mom, it elevates that. It shouldn't stop you from going after your goals. It should elevate that because, like you just said, you should want to, not should want to, but people who think this way want to leave a legacy for their child, right? And most of the time it comes from like, okay, my childhood was good, but how can I make my kid's
Yes.
childhood great?
And you just want to always, you want your kids to be better than what you are. Just like our parents want us to be better than what they were, and so
Yeah.
on, right? So, and this is the cycle that
Yeah.
you try to uplift and accomplish.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, I have one more question because we didn't touch
Okay.
on this. We didn't touch on this, and then we can end it off. Okay, so I know that you and I have talked about your like faith and religion background and how like there wasn't really one that you grew up with, but now with Anthony's family and all of that, like you've kind of dove into that. Not that you weren't super religious before, just not practicing, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So in that regard, have you ever questioned your faith or had a moment where you felt really distant from like God?
No, never. Yeah, no, never. Always, like for me, it's, you know, I believe in God. I believe that He is the protector of all things. I feel like He looks out for me, my family. Yeah. You know, in difficult times, I just try to stay, you know, positive and I ask for strength. But
Mhm.
yeah, no.
Wow.
Yeah, always, always. And in any religion, there's a God and there's a belief, and whichever it is, you know,
Mhm.
I believe in it. Like, I truly
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't say the same.
See,
I
and
can't
that's
say.
fine. That's totally fine. Like
Mhm.
I would say like yes, I believe in God, but I'm also like very like we've said before, like we're energy, right? So like
Mhm.
I just try to stay in a positive mindset. I know that I've caught myself in like negative mindsets before where I'm like negative and then I feel like if you think something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen.
It's gonna
Because
happen,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So like I'm one to think like that, but I also do go back to my roots of believing that there is a God and I do look forth to that.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it's not like that hasn't been the same for me in that aspect. What I
Yeah.
want to say is that, like, there have been pivotal moments of my life where I have questioned, like,
Yeah.
why I guess this happened. And that's obviously the mystery of, like, sometimes this is why I live on, like, everything happens for you and not to you, even in the toughest times of your life.
Yeah.
And that does come with the faith in a higher power that is guiding your way and all that. Recently, so that was all through, like, my blood clot, the loss of family members, like specifically family members who were so close to me and, like, just such amazing people, and their passings were so tragic that I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, how is
Yeah.
that fair, right? So I think that's where my questioning has come from, like where I've questioned my faith, but I always come back to it, obviously,
Yeah.
and knowing that, like, there's a deeper meaning that, like, maybe I don't understand at this time. Now, recently, getting into more of the spirituality aspect of I don't want to call it religion, because I'm really trying to get away from that word in the terms of, like, what it has brought, like what society says religion is, because I actually have this mindset that has come up recently of, like, if we are created in God's likeness and image, which is what we're taught in faith, right? Like, we are created in God's likeness and image, doesn't that mean that we are then one with God? And if you ask a religious person, because I've asked, they say yes. Now, they say yes, and I think that their yes comes from, like, yeah, we are divine creatures of God, and like, essentially, yeah, we are one with God, right? However, if I actually have been thinking about how deep that can be,
Yeah.
if we are one with God and we are energy and we are created in his likeness and image, then that means that inside of us we have divine power as he is, right? As God is. And so I think that the construct of religion has been made to, because this is all man-made, was made to divide. Because, like you said, right now, like, whatever God you believe in, there's a God, right? Whatever that is for you. Well, if we were to actually look at religion in terms of our relationship with God, and if we were all to understand that if we are created in his likeness and image, regardless of our denomination, let's call it, then there really shouldn't be these boundaries of religion. There really shouldn't be this divide of, like, well, no, like, let's take, for example, Catholicism. Catholics think that they're right, but then everybody else is wrong. But then you look at, like, Protestants or Presbyterian or, like, different denominations of Christianity, and they all think they're right and everybody else is wrong. And so what I feel is, like, that aspect of religion causes such a divide with people. And if we were just to reconnect back with the fact that if we all believe the same thing, that we are created in his likeness and image, then we should all believe that we are one with God, and therefore I shouldn't see you as a different denomination. You shouldn't see me as a different denomination. We should see each other as beings of love that are connected to the one source that created us all. And so that's where I've challenged my faith in that aspect. And challenged, I mean, like, are we not supposed to live our life this way? Like, why don't we live our life this way? Of, like, releasing and surrendering these societal constructs of what religion is, and actually just living by, I am a good person. I have divine powers within me because I am one with God. Therefore, we are actually all unstoppable beings. I understand that if we all realize that, maybe it could be a little bit of chaos in the world. I get that. But I think it would also help with stopping the division of the
It
different.
never will. And it's a
I know.
control thing. It's a control thing. At the end of the day, it has nothing to do but control and different parts of the world wanting control and to have the upper hand. And unfortunately, it is never going to change. It is always going to be this way. No matter how many people think like you or think like me, it is what it is. And it's been like that for hundreds of years.
Yeah. I'm more of, like, let's try and get more people to think like us. Like
I
this.
wish, but like, yeah, it's
We're a grain of
control.
salt in this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we're a grain of salt in this. Anyway, that went real fucking
Yeah.
deep there, but that's because I'm like, this is the spot of the world that I'm in right now where it's just like, no, we are all creators of this world. And what you said is so important. Like, if you think negative thoughts, they're going to happen. And why do you think that is? Like, people don't question that. Like, they don't question how their mind is so powerful that what you think will come about.
Totally. Yeah.
It will come about.
So
And,
think
people
positive.
people who are always like, oh, I can't afford that, or it's too expensive, or else now we're going to talk finances for a hot second here. Why do you think you're constantly in a state of not enoughness? Why do you think you're in a constant state of not being able to afford things? You keep putting into the universe that things are too expensive, that it's out of your budget, that you can't afford. What do you think the universe is hearing?
Yeah.
It's hearing, okay, I'm going to send you more things that you can't afford. I'm going to send you more lack of opportunities. Whereas we all know somebody that we're just like, how the fuck do they have all that they have? And just everything comes to them. Well, let me tell you, it starts in the mind. And if we go into spirituality, it's because they've actually unlocked the part of their life where they're like, no, I am the creator of my happiness, of my world, of my
And receiving.
circumstances. Yes, because I am one with God. We are that powerful. And, people need to start to open their eyes to that.
Good talk, Maria.
Good job, Jenny. All right. You want to end it off?
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in today. Hope you all found it a little bit interesting and took away from it. But we'll catch you next week on Thursday.
Peace out. Bye, guys.